May 1821. In the middle of the Atlantic, a volcanic island sits like a prison built by nature before men ever arrived. Silent, distant, and brutal, it makes escape feel like madness. Inside Longwood House, Napoleon Bonaparte is no longer the man from paintings. He is 51, sick, watched, and running out of time. The marble legend has become a failing body in a wet room. Then a book arrives. No fanfare, no prophecy, just leather paper, and a mistake no one in the British guardroom understands yet. The harmless object is more dangerous than any visitor. The first pages describe his captivity with impossible precision: the rooms, the arguments, the doctors, the humiliations, the routines of a dying emperor. It reads like a record written after everything ended. Then he reaches the final chapter. The sentence is simple. The date is impossible. May 5th, 1821. 11 days from now, every remaining hour becomes territory. Napoleon does not pray. He does not faint. He simply looks up, as if someone has handed him the best intelligence report in history. From that moment, survival itself begins to look like a trap. Saint Helena was chosen because it made escape feel absurd. Not difficult. Absurd. Hundreds of miles of ocean separated Napoleon from any friendly shore. For him, the island was the universe shrinking around him. British officers did not need chains. They had patrols, informants, ships, cliffs, weather, and a governor whose career depended on one prisoner staying put. The system won by repetition. Hudson Lowe was not a cartoon villain. He was something more dangerous, a precise, anxious official terrified of becoming the man who lost Napoleon. One failure could rewrite his name forever. Every walk, meal, letter, and visitor passed through a system designed to reduce the former emperor into a schedule. The prison worked by making every day identical until identity itself began to erode. The book did not need magic to frighten him. His body already gave evidencing pain after meals, weakness, and nights that ended before sleep began. The ending was already approaching faster than pride allowed. So the question was not whether Napoleon feared death. The question was whether the book knew the timetable better than his doctors did. It sat on the table like a loaded pistol made of information. He checks the first claim, a quarrel from the previous autumn, recorded with the exact insult Lowe used and the exact silence that followed. Small facts are harder to dismiss than thunder. He checks another, the position of a chair moved during a doctor's visit, a detail too small for gossip and too useless for propaganda. One useless detail becomes more frightening than a battlefield report. He asks Bertrand about a conversation no British officer should have known. Bertrand goes pale before he answers. The book has remembered it perfectly. Now it is no longer an object, it is a conspiracy. Napoleon built empires by respecting useful information. If a map was accurate 9 times, he did not ignore the 10th mark because it was inconvenient. Ignoring this would be emotional, not rational. But accuracy could also be bait. What if the British wanted him to panic? What if the book was a cage disguised as a key? Every answer only creates another trap. By the 3rd night, he stops asking where the book came from. Origins are a luxury. The date is the problem. 11 days is a campaign, and commanders act on the best intelligence available. For 2 days, Napoleon changes nothing. He eats badly, walks slowly, complains bitterly, and lets the guards see exactly the prisoner they expect. The first movement of the escape is disguise. Behind closed doors, the empire reappears for 20 minutes at a time, not as flags or armies, but as logistics, timing, deception, and risk. For a moment, the room becomes headquarters again. Marchand understands before anyone says it aloud. If the plan fails, the British will not punish a legend. They will punish the servants who touched the door. His fear gives the escape a human cost. Bertrand's role is the cruelest. He will remain in the house, answer through curtains, delay doctors, and become the shape of Napoleon for a few borrowed hours. The action happens elsewhere because he stays. The final piece is not Nobleg, a merchant sailor with debts, a night landing he should not attempt, and a price high enough to erase patriotism. History often turns on frightened, ordinary people. The plan needs a dying man. That part is easy. Napoleon stops fighting his illness in public and lets Saint Helena watch him collapse. The illness is both weapon and enemy. The 4th of May arrives under wind. The island sounds less like a prison now and more like a machine trying to grind one man into history. Even the weather can betray them. Before dawn, the house becomes a map, a servant corridor, a locked passage, a door left unlatched for exactly 12 minutes. One wrong floorboard could end the entire alternate timeline. Behind him, Bertrand sits beside the bed. If anyone enters too soon, he has no weapon, no escape, and no explanation that will save him. Escape is not one event. It is many fragile lives holding together. A guard hears cuffing from behind the curtain and moves on. The deception is not brilliant because it is complicated. It is brilliant because it is ordinary. Nothing happens, and the lie survives. Napoleon reaches the path down to the water. Every step costs him. The book saved his future, but his body still belongs to the disease. Weakness makes the escape both credible and tragic. At the cove, a lantern appears once, then disappears. The signal is small enough for a smuggler and large enough to rewrite Europe. It is almost too small for the history it carries. He steps into black water on the day he was supposed to die. Not as emperor, not as martyr, just as a sick man refusing the ending he was given. This is not victory. It is refusal. The merchant ship waits beyond the rocks. No imperial standard. No orchestra. Only wet rope, frightened men, and the Atlantic deciding whether to keep a secret. The ship is not salvation yet. It is another cage, floating in darkness. For 1 second, he looks back at Saint Helena. That should have been enough to become immortal. Instead, he turns away. He leaves the place that would have made him eternal, and he does not yet understand what he has abandoned. Morning comes gently, which makes the failure worse. There is no alarm yet. Only breakfast trays, damp air, and a house pretending nothing has changed. The world has not realized it has changed. The doctor asks to examine the patient. Bertrand delays, then delays again. In a prison built from routine, delay becomes the loudest sound on the island. Every ordinary sentence begins to sound like treason. When the curtain finally opens, Napoleon is not there. Only blankets, a coat, and the exact shape of British humiliation. The bedroom becomes less like a sick room and more like a crime scene. Lowe does not shout at first. That is what makes it frightening. He understands the fact before his officers do. His life has divided into before and after, and silence makes the panic sharper. Horses take the roads. Boats search the coves. Every guard looks suddenly guilty because every guard knows the same impossible fact. The island becomes a machine waking up too late. The American vessel cleared the harbor hours earlier. It is not invisible. It is simply already part of the horizon. The horror is not a chase. The horror is that the ship is already gone. London does not collapse in a single dramatic moment. It does something more realistic. It begins writing letters no one wants to receive. Paperwork, fear, blame, and delayed consequences replace thunder. Europe had not defeated a man. It had contained a possibility. Now that possibility is somewhere on the ocean, and no map can point to him. Napoleon has become a missing variable inside the European order. Freedom does not heal him. The cancer travels with him. In the ship's narrow cabin, Napoleon discovers that escaping history is easier than escaping the body. The escape has not solved the death sentence. He dictates notes as if an empire might still be assembled from ink. Marchand writes carefully, hearing not command but fear beneath the old rhythm. Control over the story is the last empire left. The captain treats him as dangerous cargo, not emperor, not savior, just a passenger whose name could bring war to any port that shelters him. The world no longer automatically kneels. A storm hits halfway across. For one night, the Atlantic almost solves the problem more cleanly than Britain ever could. The ocean does not care whether it drowns a prisoner or an emperor. When land finally appears, it is not France. It is New Orleans, humid, loud, French-speaking, and completely indifferent to the shape of his memory. The place is alive, but not for him. He expected history to recognize him. Instead, a few exiles, merchants, and curious Americans squint at a sick man and wonder if the rumor is true. A legend expected thunder and found confusion. In our timeline, Saint Helena did not merely kill Napoleon. It edited him. It removed weakness, contradiction, and inconvenience, leaving a martyr Europe could use. Now the escape thriller becomes a tragedy about reputation. The memoirs shaped on Saint Helena turned exile into testimony. A defeated emperor became a prisoner of reaction, a champion remembered through suffering. Suffering became useful because it could be organized into myth. But a living Napoleon cannot be edited so cleanly. He complains. He negotiates. He ages in public. The myth keeps tripping over the man. Survival makes him available for disappointment. Even his son becomes a complication. A dead father can crown a child with memory. A living father only casts a shadow no heir can escape. The personal escape becomes a political fracture. Bonapartists begin arguing over which Napoleon they serving, the defeated man in America, the distant son in Europe, or the clean legend that never existed. They no longer know whether to worship the man, the son, or the memory. The cruelest moment is not an insult. It is a small article on a third page surrounded by shipping rates and local arguments. Reality is not cruel because it hates him. It is cruel because it moves on. He won the escape and lost the stage. The man who once made Europe hold its breath now cannot make a room stay silent. The enemy is no longer Britain. It is reflection. Still, Napoleon is Napoleon. Decline does not cancel habit. In the Americas, he looks at revolutions the way he once looked at battlefields. It is the last table he can still sit at. Officers visit him quietly. Some want advice. Some want legitimacy. Some want a famous name to cover decisions they already made without him. They want a symbol, but not necessarily the sick man attached to it. He can still diagnose a campaign. He can still see supply lines in a glance. But he cannot ride. He cannot march. He cannot become 20 again. The body keeps interrupting destiny. His final campaign is not an army crossing mountains. It is a sick man in a hot room telling younger men where their ambitions will break. The old genius remains, reduced to advice no one can fully obey. Britain does not need to catch him dramatically anymore. It only has to make every port banker, governor, and captain afraid to be seen helping him. Institutions defeat him by shrinking his options. One by one, the believers thin out. Not from betrayal exactly, from weather, money, age, family, and the exhaustion of waiting for a miracle. Decline arrives through ordinary reasons. He dies years late, far from the island that would have made him immortal. No grand procession, no imperial dome, only rain, humidity, and a small room. Its smallness is the point. The burial is quick. A few witnesses, a wooden marker. The kind of ending history rarely chooses unless no one powerful is there to stop it. The modesty almost feels insulting. In our world, the dead Napoleon eventually returned to Paris in glory. Gold, marble ceremony, and a tomb large enough for an empire. In this broken timeline, the contrast is almost unbearable. In this world, the story never hardens the same way. The great book of suffering becomes less scripture than rumor, less monument than argument. History does not lose every artist. It loses an emotional center. France still has anger, ambition, nostalgia, and politics. But without the martyr of Saint Helena, those forces lose their cleanest symbol. This timeline has too many Napoleons and none pure enough. There is the escaped man, the distant son, and the heroic memory everyone preferred. 3 Napoleons compete, and none can fully become the one history needed. Survival has split the movement that death once unified. Maybe France becomes more republican. Maybe another authoritarian rises instead. We cannot know. These are probabilities, not prophecies. The point is not certainty, but pressure. Remove the myth and politics bends differently. But the central lesson is less speculative. Some men become more useful after death because the dead cannot embarrass their believers. The dead can be polished. The living can disappoint. And the book? Perhaps a hoax, perhaps a visitor's mistake, perhaps something stranger. The answer matters less than what Napoleon did with it. The mystery remains, but the consequence is already clear. He wanted perfect intelligence. He received it. Then he used it to win the wrong battle. He escaped the date, but misread the objective. The tragedy is not that he lacked knowledge. It is that he misunderstood victory. Saint Helena was supposed to contain Napoleon. In our world, it did something stranger. It transformed containment into legend. The prison did not merely hold him. It manufactured the version of him that outlived him. On the beach, before the rope ladder, he may have thought he was choosing life over surrender. He may not have understood that surrender was the story. The escape was the moment victory began turning against him. History does not only remember what happened, it remembers the shape of the ending. Change the ending, and sometimes the entire life changes meaning. Endings are not decorations. They decide what a life becomes. Was escaping wisdom? Or was it the one mistake the greatest general in history should never have made? If a legend needs a perfect ending, then survival can be the most dangerous decision of all. Maybe Napoleon did not lose his legend when he died. Maybe he lost it the moment he refused to die on schedule. In trying to escape history, he may have escaped the only ending that could save him.